As you first start authoring HTML, you'll notice what seems to be a curious behavior among browsers regarding the use of white space. No matter how much white space you put into your code, your browser will ignore everything after the first space. So I've got a little paragraph down here that says, try it here, add as much white space as you want. I'm just going to go ahead and after the sentence, try it here, I'm going to go ahead and just do exactly what I told myself to do and add a ton of white space there. Okay, fair enough. Save this, preview this in one of my browsers, and right here is where we should expect to see all that white space, and we don't. That's simply a default behavior in all browsers. They're basically told to ignore anything past the first character of white space. And the reason for that is that a lot of people have different ways that they like to format their code. And a lot of code isn't written by hand, it's written by machines. And so because of that, there's no real way to consistently say, hey, all white space is going to be controlled. So anything after the first character is ignored. What do you do if you want that white space to display? Well, you have a couple of options. The first option I'm going to show you guys is actually something we looked at earlier, which is the pre-formatted tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to wrap that text inside the paragraph with a pre-formatted tag. Ideally, I would probably replace the paragraph tag, but just to kind of show you guys how this is going to work. Let me save this and preview this in my browser, just refresh that. And you can see that now, indeed, I do get the white space I'm looking for, but something else happens. The text changes to more of a monospace font, and that's simply the default rendering of pre-formatted text within the browser. So you could use styles to change that so that it looked like the rest of your paragraph text. Why does that work? The pre-formatted tag basically tells the browser that however the text is formatted inside this, so no matter how many line breaks it has or how much white space, you should honor that spacing. You should honor that particular formatting. That's why it's a very helpful way of showing text that's been tabbed over or indentations or things like that. But you probably are not going to use it just to display white space like this because it's really not designed for that. It's designed to sort of show pre-built sections of code or poems or things like that. So you want to make sure you're using all of your elements the way that they're supposed to be used. You do have another option, and that option is what's known as the non-breaking space character. As a matter of fact, you can see right above that, we're talking about it right there. I'm going to remove some of this white space just so you can maybe see this a little bit more clearly. If I add one character of white space, and then I come in and say, okay, ampersand NBSP for non-breaking space. If I save this, go back in and preview it, you can see that I do get an additional character of white space there. And if you're maybe not seeing that, I'm going to copy this and then just paste it one after the other. Save that, try it, and you can see it pushes the text over a little bit. Now, even that is really sort of abusing this particular special character because the purpose of the non-breaking space is just that, to inform the browser where there's a segment of text that when text wraps or breaks, that these particular string of text shouldn't be a part of that break. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have this text right here that says Formula 1. All right, if I go back into the browser, you can see that right here, it's butting right against the edge of this. If I resize this browser, and go right up to here, you can see that right now it's allowing it to break between the words formula and 1. However, if I come in and I insert a non-breaking space right there between the two of them, save that and preview this again, you can see that now Formula 1 are not allowed to break, and that's exactly what the non-breaking space character is supposed to be for. So in a pinch, you can certainly use it to add a little bit more white space to certain sections of code, but you want to be very careful about how often you use it and in which context you use it. It's okay to use them every now and then. As a matter of fact, it's perfectly acceptable to add a non-breaking space when you need just a little bit of extra white space, such as before a zip code, for example. However, make sure that you're very careful about how you use it and that you don't use it to create false margins, indents, or tabs. That type of visual formatting is the responsibility of CSS, not HTML.